Good evening. I'm gonna start off by just making an aside that I'm humbled that folks watch my videos, that my content was not created with the intention to make money. There is no profit motive here. That my videos were simply just a voice crying out in the wilderness. That my videos were simply giving my opinion on things of great moment. That's it. I think that I don't really have a lot of content. I think that I'm just a guy that was raised around older people, and I look at social progress maybe from that viewpoint. Even though I'm on the left, I'm like, yo, we look at where we come from, looking back at the 50 years in the past, and I think that's where my videos come from. Just that my grandfather's viewpoint, if you will. It's interesting. I met someone today that at the job that watched some videos, and it was kind of humbling because some of my earlier videos were a little bit rough. Okay, I've been deleting them, but I think I'm a pretty boring person, and I think my videos are pretty boring. There's a lot of stuff on here that I delete. There's a lot of stuff on here I do like 3 or 4 retakes. There's a lot of stuff on here that gets cut, and I get into that. The idea that someone watches my videos of that stature is a little bit humbling, and to that person, hey, thank you. Your encouragement means a lot, and thank you. This video, was about the downfall, the end of the Afghan conflict, and this video is about the fall of Kabul, which is the capital of Afghanistan. I'm sure you guys saw it. The president of the country fled. I'm sure you guys saw it at those thousands of people running out on the airstrip, the airport in Afghanistan. I think in Kabul, people climbing onto the planes. I think one guy climbed on the plane and the plane lifted off and he fell from the sky. Haven't seen it. I don't just you see it either. I don't know why this video touches me. This topic touches me like Michael Brooks' death. Not in the emotional hit. No, because I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody in Afghanistan. I don't know anybody over there. But it touches me because this is another one of those moments in my life of great moment. One of those moments that define the nation. My mom told me when John Kennedy was murdered. She was in a dentist's office. I remember when 9/11 happened. I remember where I was at. I remember telling all that. When you're young, you don't quite understand it. And if you don't follow politics, you may never understand it. But in looking at these events and these tragedies, you kind of get an understanding of where America goes. And with the murder of John Kennedy and his brother, I would say America lost its innocence. There's a poem they used to read to John Kennedy's son, Jack. The lines he liked to hear were, "Don't let it be forgot that once there was a spot for one brief shining moment that was known as Camelot. There'll be great presence again, but there'll never be another Camelot. This is Camelot. Let's not forget." This sense of innocence lost and hope blighted is echoed in the musical story. I kind of read all that. I just felt like that was appropriate. I think that in watching for me personally, I'm watching the Empire fall. For somebody else, they say something else. My opinion is the American empire is collapsing. And I think that with the murder of General Soleimani, Iranian general, that was going to Iraq to go to funerals, I think, and he was the reason why ISIS didn't take over Iran. I think that was the end of the war on terrorism. I said that, and I think that was probably there was a shift towards the those unilateral moves, the first world nation stuff, going back to China and Russia and provocation and all that. And not even a year after that, it's been a year. It hasn't even been a year after. It hasn't even been 12 months after Soleimani was murdered, I think. And we're pulling out of Afghanistan. I think that it was a 20-year-long war on the basis of a lie. I think that over 1,000 young people, Americans, lost their lives in vain. I think I will do another video on this topic with some facts, some numbers, statistics behind me. But I think that it's important to understand that even though this is the thing about America. This is the problem. This is the problem about being a leftist. When you're on the left and you're talking about why America is what it is, the racial stuff, the homophobic stuff, the anti-Semitic stuff, people will be like, oh, you want it to be this. You know what I mean? They created this climate, politically and otherwise. They created climates of hostility towards America. And then now it's like for you to acknowledge, yeah, they have a reason to be mad at us. Well, you hate America. That's the problem. I knew with Ilhan Omar when she was talking about should Israel face war crimes, like, well, you hate, you're anti-Semitic. I knew then, like I always knew that if you're the squad and I'm on the left, I'm a progressive, I'm gonna do all this stuff, we're gonna do climate change stuff. I knew that when you do that, if you keep, you're digging. You're not just you get your boots on, your boots are strapped, and when you do that, eventually you run up against America's colonial genocidal history. And for many Americans, that means you hate America. That's something on the left you deal with. You can't go too far on the left and be following history and looking at all this stuff and not be like, man, what was Operation Ajax? What were we doing over in Iran? Why did we take down the Shah? Operation what's the thing where they had to stay behind forces? Why did we try to dethrone de Gaulle in France? Why did we try to dethrone President de Gaulle? Why did that happen? Why would they, you start to understand. You can't just look at politics without acknowledging that, without acknowledging how America created these bad outcomes. And that's what I do here. And that's what I'm going to do with this Afghan conflict. I'm going to do another video. It's going to be a series where I'm going to dig up the numbers and all that, the billions of dollars, the trillions of dollars wasted, the lives lost, all of that. I know you're never going to get Americans to get it. And I don't do these videos with that in mind. I've never done a video with it in mind to change anybody's mind. Because I recognize now we're in that fascist time to where we're in this world of diminishing returns. You can't have what your grandfather had. And for these Caucasian men out here, they're angry. They want to go back to coal mine. They want to go back to this America they heard about growing up and no longer exists. More importantly, even if it did exist, even if people out there are like, yeah, we're going to keep doing coal, we know more about what coal mining does to the lungs now. We know more about asbestos and DDT and different drugs and tobacco smoking. We know it's, if you want to smoke, that's fine, whatever. I don't care about that. But you can't sit up here and do stuff your grandfather did 50 years ago and then be like, well, y'all are sissies because you don't, like, no, we know now. Remember I did a video talking about how Republicans don't have faith in science. Yeah, because science is non-convenient. The science of the 70s and the 60s was about eugenics and sterilizing black people and about creating bigger bombs and bigger nukes and bigger guns and bigger engines and testing out gases on American citizens and the Tuskegee Project, testing syphilis on black men. That was the science of the 70s and the 60s and the 50s. The science of today is talking about climate change. And if you acknowledge that as a person of privilege, what do you do then? What do you do next? They can't just say we don't care. They have to just say we don't believe it. You see? I think that, like I said, as a man like me, believing that we're living in an empire, believing that electoral results are not available, not possible, not a reality in my lifetime, or probably if I have children, my children's time. I guess when like Republicans talk about how left we are, it shows me really how right America is. Like, if that makes sense. It's like, I don't think we're even as left as they say. From North Carolina, living up here, like all this stuff about they're pushing gay stuff to children, like that's not even a 12th true. No, that's about homophobia. And that's about saying I don't want my kids learning anything about gay people. I want gay people to be the monster in the closet. Remember I told you about the episode of Tales from the Dark Side where the two rich men had bet on selling their soul. One of them lost. The devil came to collect. The devil was a gay man. That's what they want. They want their gay people to be the devil, Satan, something evil, something sneaking around, and he's gonna take something from you. That's what they want. So that's it. When you look at these issues, we're not even that far. It's not even possible. There's never been this George Soros leftist. That's never existed. You've always had people like Rockefellers. You've always had people like those brothers that fund Fox News and all. You've always had people like that. That's the reality. I think it's important to be aware of these issues of great moment. Get back on subject. I think that we've all seen the video, people running onto the airstrip, climbing on top of the plane. One guy, I guess, fell off the plane from the sky when the plane took off. It's tragic. As I talked about earlier, that people will be like, well, Joe Biden shouldn't have left. But we already know that Trump. Sometimes I get tired of just sorting out Trump's BS stuff that he said that we can easily prove. Because it's not even like a tough math equation. Like if I give you a tough algebraic equation, like you say, I don't want to do it. Well, it's actually tough. So, you're like, I'm like, whatever. It's boring to constantly show y'all that Trump is a liar and that everything he put out was lies. And today he puts out lies. Trump was talking about pulling out of Afghanistan. Biden just did it. They've been talking about this. I think that Biden could have done it smarter. There could have been a smarter withdrawal, of course. People are like, well, it was a waste. And people are like, this embarrassment about it or whatever. We shouldn't have been there. I'm going to always say that. I'm going to always say the war in Iraq was a war crime. I'm going to always say that to my dying day. That's just what it is. Doesn't matter how the withdrawals turn out. What's wrong is wrong. Crimes are crimes, period. And as I said earlier by Ilya and Omar, that when you're on the left and you find yourself on this stage that's been created, this stage was created 100 years before you even born. 200 years. Your mama wasn't even thought of. You have to find your way onto this stage. It's very hostile, very unreasonable in many ways. And And you have to do this to create some type of change, or to at least create a conversation which would be conducive to change. I talk about when Alexandria Ocasio, when she first got elected, she had like $1,000 dress on, and Alex Jones was like, "Well, look at her. She's a socialist, but she got this big dress on." And I'm like, "So what? You thought she's gonna grab some slacks from TJ Maxx on the way over? What did you think?" She's got to play the role. That's what you do. You have to play the role with these people, or else you don't get reelected. So what he's saying there is, you're screwed either way. If you come up there and you're trash, he can say, "Oh, you're socialists, you're trash." But if you come up there and you're dressed nice and you're what's called, well, you're not really a socialist, are you? You can't win. You can't win. So I don't want to get into that discussion. I don't want to beat Joe Biden up about this. I don't. This was a tough choice. It's a tough decision. We got more lives lost. I think that that's also a part of the American empire too, that we can't lose, like the LBJ stuff, that America doesn't lose wars, even when they do. This belligerence. I looked at that money that we wasted. I'll do a video on this, and I thought about today as I was at work. I thought about how that money could have been spent on the student loan stuff. Could have been spent on the affordable care stuff. It could have been spent on, universal insurance for people. It could have been spent on infrastructure, these bridges, all these things they tell you that they couldn't do was spent dropping bombs. What did Robert Kennedy say? You dropped a bomb and called it peace. I think that I guess I've stopped trying to spend any type of time actually bringing people to my side, because I recognize the hatred and the viciousness that's on the right now. And I recognize that that's not energy I should be spending in that capacity. It should be spent learning and growing. I think America is just, it's an empire. And the fall of the empire won't be good. But, and who knows? Maybe there's some other reason why they pull out of Afghanistan. Maybe we're facing some, I don't know. Maybe something else is coming. I don't know. I don't wish to guess at it. But it's quite tragic to me. I guess I kind of thought there'd be a drawdown. I thought there'd be something like that. I've talked about how I don't support violence. Never have. That I don't agree with the Weathermen. I don't agree with SDS on a lot of stuff. But I talked about on here about how when you're dealing with an empire, it's always at war, and the wars don't end, and you feel though the people that are pushing the buttons and pulling the levers are irrational, violence might be it might not seem so outrageous to commit acts of violence. And I feel that way with Iraq and Afghanistan. Sounds bad, but I understand now, because they're not listening. And so much of America isn't listening and doesn't care and just sees it as an empire. And if one soldier dies, we need to kill 1,000 over their citizens. And I mean, I've had guys, I had a guy tell me that we should turn the Middle East into a parking lot. And I mean, it's sickness. That's why I always tell you, that Nazi stuff, I don't get too deep into it, because there's plenty of guys out here who will do the same thing. You talk to some of these people, they go a little further than Nazis would have on some of the stuff that I've heard. It's tragic, because it's a guy that put the picture of the fall of Saigon, the helicopters landing, with the helicopters landing today. And it touched me, because America ain't changed none. We're the same old empire, doing the same stuff, killing people who are no threat to us. It's tragic, and it's sad, and it reinvigorates me to understand the times we're in, and to also understand that there's no positive way out of a quagmire that was already built 20 years before you became president. There's no positive way. There was never going to be. There was never going to be okay, guys, we're done. We're going to get out of here. Just don't kill anybody and wait till we leave. That was never going to happen. In a way, I kind of pity Joe Biden. I do. I mean, all these people like Joe. I never respected him. I don't like him. I don't think he's worthy to be president. But I recognize that Trump's at the bar so low that this is actually a person that's better than Trump. Okay. He came in, wear the mask, get the shot. It's going to be over with. Everything's going to go, and now we've got the Delta strain and the other strain they're talking about. And it's pretty bad. It's pretty contagious. They're talking about some other things that are pretty bad as well. These things are pretty bad, man. And I think Joe thought, if we just get everybody shots like that, things will get better, and it didn't. He said we'd pull out of Afghanistan by September 11th. Now they've lost most of the country. They've lost the capital. I think Joe thought we could just negotiate with Taliban. For better or worse, it didn't really work out that way. I know they said they didn't kill any American citizens, American troops. Hopefully, that remains to be the truth. I hope that remains true. But Joe Biden is trying to do things where the country is very divided. He's trying not to be so divisive. I get that. I even respect it. I'm just at the point now, living up here, that I'm not going to pretend to respect people who don't respect me. And I would say the same thing with them, that's not, I wouldn't do that. I couldn't do that. A good portion of this country is radicalized and is what I call terrorists. That's what it is. I just kind of feel bad for Joe Biden in this moment. I might say a prayer for him tonight. I actually feel somewhat morose for him, because you're trying to do good. It's like I'm trying to build a house with tools that are all worn out and tore up. And I'm doing a good job. I'm showing up on time to work and all this, but equipment's tore up. And, I don't have, what I'm saying? It's just, we got a time limit here, because there's always going to be another Trump over our head. There's always a chance for another Trump hanging over our head. As well as the fact that Joe Biden's not doing well popularity-wise. Kamala Harris is not liked by a lot of people. Trump ran again. Who would they put forward? I don't think Kamala Harris is not going to be... She's not going to run off the popularity of Joe Biden. I don't know. I just feel for Joe Biden. Thanks for listening.